Smiley wrestling the gun away, making this frantic call to 911. Prosecutors say the violence unfolded just hours after a friend told Gregg's mom about the teen's marijuana use.
Handcuffed. All right, sweetie. Look. Let me step out real quick for me. All right. Hey, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on around to the front of you, okay? I'm going to move the handcuffs around to the front of you. Okay. All right. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to swab your hands, okay? Right. And I'll ask you a bunch of questions, but obviously you fired with a pistol, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Alright, look. I need you to hold your hand out like this. I'm going to do your right hand first, okay? That's your right hand. Just do it like that.
Swab up here.
What is this?
It's a GSLR. It shows which hand did you shoot with?
Okay.
Which hand did you shoot with? Alright,
I'm gonna go up.
flop the hand, turn the hand over.
Turn it over.
Rub on the outside part around the knuckles.
What do you want this from? I guess you can put it in my vehicle with my key and the key fob is in my left pocket.
Alright, so go ahead and take it. Alright.
Is my stepdad okay?
I don't know, baby. I can't talk to you about
Oh,
this.
here, I understand.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear. Thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. Well, this is part 2 of our analysis. Many of you asked me to do the second part dealing with the family dynamics and just diving deeper into this case. Did you notice in that body cam of CARLY Gregg's apprehension that she initially says yes, that she fired a pistol, and then later she says she can't remember which hand?
Obviously you fired with a pistol, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Which hand did you shoot with?
Okay.
Which hand did you shoot with?
She remembers and then she can't remember. She remembers and then she remembers not to remember. But what do you think the motive was for this crime? What's the first thing Gregg did after killing her mother? Well, she appropriated her mother's phone and called a friend over. And you really get a sense that she can't be away from that phone. You kind of get a sense of a teenager who's addicted to the phone. She's completely immersed in the phone moments after killing her mother. But is that the primary motive? Because she also texts her stepfather. She has some sort of unfinished business, but regarding what exactly? Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. If you're new to the channel, I am the author of numerous true crime books, including The Murder of Gannon Stork, JonBenet Ramsey, and the disappearance of Kaylee Anthony. I've also written many books on the Chris Watts case. If you're finding this analysis worthwhile, please like, share, leave a comment. You can also hit the thanks button, and let's get started. So according to people, at 4:58 p.m., BW sent a text saying she had arrived at the property. BW told the court when she got there. CARLY asked if she had ever seen a body before. When BW, this is a friend of CARLY's, whose name isn't given because it's a minor, answered no, CARLY proceeded to show BW Ashley's body. Now apparently Ashley was lying on the ground beside a bed with a towel over her face, and I think that bed was CARLY's bed. And I think as soon as you have something like that covering over the face, it shows some kind of emotional connection to the victim. You had the same thing with the murder of Meredith Kurt. She was covered in a comforter, and also JonBenet Ramsey. The towel over her mother's face also shows clear-minded intentionality. There's also really interesting footage of the mother arriving home shortly before CARLY. I think they just walked their dogs. And the mother then furtively looks for where CARLY is. CARLY's still outside with the dogs. And that's when the mother takes some time to quickly go into CARLY's room and search for her stash. CARLY then arrives a few moments later. Now back to the report, BW, that's CARLY's friend, said that CARLY also showed the locations of other guns such as a shotgun and BB gun on the property. BW testified that CARLY admitted to shooting her mom 3 times and had 3 more for Heath. Those were her words. I've got 3 more. I guess 3 more bullets for my stepfather. She asked if I wanted to go outside while she took care of her stepdad, BW said. Can you see there's crystal clear intentionality here? As BW went into the backyard, she heard 3 shots ring out. BW said that CARLY met her back there and said run before jumping over a fence. That's also intentionality. You know, why do you know to run? Well, because you know exactly what you've done. And so let's get to the bottom line. The jury didn't take long to deliberate. Though Gregg had been offered a plea deal of 40 years, she was found guilty. Well, obviously she didn't take the plea deal. She was found guilty after just 2 hours of deliberation by the jury on all charges and sentenced to life in prison. To the jury's credit, they didn't take the psychobabble from the defense's expert witness on the sort of amnesia and all of that nonsense. They didn't take that to heart. And because it's not rocket science to see or to understand what happened. And yet, amazingly, during closing arguments, the prosecutors said they can't say why this happened and may never be able to say why.
We do not have to prove the why. We will likely never know the why, but we know that CARLY Gregg is guilty of murder.
Is there anyone else here who thinks the why is very hard to come up with? Is there anyone, if there's anyone here, put up your hand. Is it difficult to say why this crime happened?
Are you out of your fucking mind?
The reason CARLY Gregg murdered her mother and tried to murder her stepfather isn't nearly as complex as it seems. She was on drugs. She was addicted to drugs. She wanted to continue doing drugs. Her mother found her drugs. She murdered her mother because her mother was getting in the way of her doing drugs. Drug addicts are often hard to distinguish from psychopaths. It was also revealed through testimony that BW observed changes in CARLY, who was becoming riskier with her use of drugs. That's also according to this article from People. However, BW was not the only friend of CARLY to testify Tuesday on CARLY's use of substances. Witness TG testified that CARLY had done weed, cocaine, and mushrooms at one point in time. Well, if we know about one point in time, was there likely to be other points in time? We also see that the premeditation had been brewing for some time. One also wonders whether drug use had made her a lot more clear-minded and confident than she would otherwise have been. TG also recounted a time when CARLY alluded to killing Ashley and Heath. So can you see there's also a pattern of secretive and covering up behavior associated with her drug addiction, and that is besides premeditation. She'd already thought about this before. It wasn't a spontaneous act. According to TG, CARLY messaged him on a burner phone stating Ashley was holding CARLY down while Heath answered the door. So that use of a burner phone is also showing clear intentionality. She said she wanted to murder her parents that day, TG said. So she'd actually expressed her thinking, her feelings to someone before she actually did it. And so that brings us to the foundation. Gregg didn't just innocently stumble into drug addiction. In a very real sense, her biological father killed her biological mother. And this is where we move into the area I promised to talk about, family dynamics. During cross-examination, defense attorney Bridget Todd replied on the narrative that some of Gregg's behaviors were early on influenced by her biological father, Kevin Gregg. Still at the witness stand, Heath testified how Kevin was constantly doing drugs around Gregg, his daughter. Heath told the court that Kevin had Gregg drink an entire beer at the age of 12. This crime happened at the age of 14. Heath also said that the gun Gregg used was located under Ashley's side of the bed due to Ashley being scared of Kevin showing up at the home one day. Heath claims that Gregg was also fearful of her biological father. Gregg and drugs were just a go-between, and the fact that Ashley kept a .357 Magnum in the house, among many other weapons, made it not about if, but when. For me, the most disturbing thing about this case is the stepfather's denial. Even with the video footage, and in spite of his stepdaughter murdering his wife, and despite her trying to murder him, and despite him saying in the 911 call, hysterically, she shot her mother, he still defended his stepdaughter in court. Craziest of all, Heath Smiley also seemed to blame the whole thing on an intruder. If you want me to deal with Heath Smiley, the stepfather, in, let's call it a part 3 to this analysis, let me know in the comments. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.